Hannah, and I'm going to talk about poetry and breakups. I think there's a lot of breakup poetry in the world. A lot of people have told me that's how they got into poetry in the first place, is they went through a breakup and started writing poems. I think, like, I've had people tell me, oh gosh, I have some like terrible breakup poetry, and I think, well, then make more of it, because eventually you're going to get some good stuff, and we all go through separations and hard transitions in our relationships, and we need good art. So, that said, these 3 books I'm going to talk about today, I think, digest the pain of separation really well. I'm trying to fix the lighting here. Oh well. They digest the pain of separation really well, and they have spoke to me over the years from different kind of estrangements and breakups. The first one is by Maggie Nelson. This is what it looks like. It's called Bluets. Maggie Nelson is very brilliant. She is now really famous. I mean, this is a pretty famous book, but she's very famous for her more recent book called The Argonauts, which talks about her relationship with I'm not going to fill it in, but it explores her relationship with someone of, they're exploring their gender, and it's kind of a lot about gender in relationships and queer family making. It's a very cool book. But this book, Bluets, came out in 2007, and it's about, I wouldn't even say that it's Maggie Nelson is the character, but there's a character who's longing for someone who left them, and that she's desperately in love with this person, and they left, and she has all these memories, and she's meditating on the memories, and she's longing, and it's a meditation on the color blue. So it's a bunch of things. I love this book. The coolest part of this book, to me, I mean, it's also written in a very thoughtful, philosophical kind of way, but it's also broken up into sections, you can see, that are numbered. So each little paragraph is a different kind of whole contained thought or poem. I would call this sort of a hybrid book between maybe creative nonfiction and poetry, but that's the kind of books I like, that are sort of on the fringe of genre. I like them. The next book was published in 2015. It's called Stag by Sharon. She's really cool. She's been famous for a long time as a poet. This book won the Pulitzer Prize for poetry. It's about the story of a wife whose husband leaves her, and it's this bittersweet dance kind of her emotions of like loving someone so much and kind of wanting them to go because you believe in their right to leave, and you believe in like the goodness of their life that's becoming, and also being like, oh my gosh, what we had was so powerful, and we have all these intertwined bits of our lives. It's so cool. It's kind of like a restart book is kind of how I think of it. Like it like flips over your brain, and you're like, oh wow, there's different sections in it, and in each section it's kind of like a restart into that new section. She processes a lot, and it's another book kind of like Bluets that it's very clear to me was written over a period of a lot of years. It didn't happen like in a couple months. This happened a long ways, and I think she processed it and then took a break of time from the text and then re-looked at it to make it into this book. So please buy it. It's gorgeous. Stag's Leap by Sharon. The last book is by Kennard. He's an English person, a British person. I kind of wanted to have books from different parts of the globe. Maggie Nelson lives in the Bay Area. Sharon is on the East Coast, or at least she was when she was teaching at NYU poetry. And Kennard wrote this book called Cain, which has a really cool cover. And he lives in England. This book is so cool. It's so strange. It's like, it's very artsy. The first opening lines in it, he says, when I lost my faith in my marriage in the same week, my friend said, that's okay. We never believed in the construct of romantic love and the redundant institution of marriage and the state-sponsored men's of self-abusive religion anyway. it's just, he's giving up a lot of things suddenly, and the stress of this experience of the breakup of his religion and his marriage cause him to create an imaginary friend who he calls Cain, and Cain helps him process things, and it's a lot about how this breakup triggers a side of his own self-hate he'd never examined before. So he also tries out a form of poetry midway through. You can see it looks like this. There's like red poems and then like black poems, and he's doing this interesting form where he uses a certain number of words and letters, and then he like reorders them to make them into a poem, and there's a lot of nonsense, and there's a lot of like television watching. They watch the show Noah. It's just very strange, and it combines reality TV and just the ache of being rejected, and then like self-loathing, and then having an imaginary friend, and then experimental forms of poetry. It's very cool, very therapeutic for me, because there's something in breakups that's like turning over a new leaf. Like, this is where we are now, so here we go. Let's go.